Welcome.
Right. Welcome. Yes. Hi, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the inaugural episode of Conversations with Cosmic Souls. Of course, those cosmic souls are the four of us, and we'll get into introductions later, but we also include all of you listening or watching. You are also cosmic souls as well. So, without further ado, I thought I'd introduce myself first, and then we can kind of go through the panel here. So, my name is Heather Thomas. Gosh, I guess I've been on this journey for maybe a short time as far as a full-on awakening journey, but really started for me back in college. And for me, awakening is all about what I call your F it thresholds or your fuck it thresholds, where you continually cross over these thresholds of, where you would have never imagined yourself crossing over based upon maybe fear or programming or just that resistance that we can all feel about really letting go the old self and stepping into something new, and really just realizing that the thresholds are ever expanding just as we are ever expanding. So from a earthbound sense, I am a mom of two teenagers, a 17-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son. I am married, and I also work full time at, I guess, what you call a 3D job in the marketing field. And I am a former high school English teacher, and I also helped run and write for a women's magazine here locally. I live here in Tallahassee, Florida, which right now we're experiencing what I call the pollen apocalypse. It's the explosion of all the yellow snow everywhere that I think exacerbates ascension symptoms and all of the other things that I'm sure we will talk about and get into on today's show. So I'm going to kick the introduction can to Cara with a C, who I have nicknamed C Money because, we're down with the hood team like that.
Yeah, so there's two Caras in this group. I am Cara with a C, and then we have a Cara with a K. So we'll try to not confuse those too much. There might be a little confusion here and there. But I am Cara with a C, Cara Busacker. I'm here in the Northwest portion of the United States in Portland, Oregon. And it's so hard to say, like pinpoint when your awakening journey or your expansion journey or your whatever spiritual path we're all on. It's hard to pinpoint when it starts really for anyone, I think. But for me, I feel like I've been on this journey my whole life, but it really started to ramp up and to become apparent that, whoa, something has definitely shifted within me was probably just even in the past couple of years, but most dynamically in the past year. And I think I'm going to credit the three of you as a huge part of that journey for me.
Toot, toot.
Yeah, we all met in a group called the Priestess Codes, which I'm sure we can plug later, but that was really a huge stepping in moment. And then just a little personally about me, I have played many roles and done many jobs in my life, but over the past 7 years, I have been a Pilates instructor, a movement instructor. And I would say that definitely was a little bit of a part of my path into more spiritual mind, body, meditation work. And then in doing that over the past year and really over just actually the past like couple months, I started a new business as an astrology reader, I call it intuitive astrology, where I can read birth charts and just look at like astrology charts in general. And that has been a wonderful tool to for me to explain and describe the energies that I feel. I also consider myself like an intuitive healer. And then I do use, I still do a lot of movement sessions. So I don't necessarily just pinpoint it or call it Pilates. It's full body movement work, how to move energies through your body with exercises, stretching, breathing. And I kind of just like put that all together, created a website and said, hey, this is what I love to do. And here I am. So we can talk more all about all that stuff later, and we of course we will. But I'm gonna while we're on the Cara train, I'm just gonna get over to Cara with a K.
Hello, everybody. My name's Cara with a K, Cara Gilsonen. And similar, I think, to you ladies, I feel like in retrospect, I've been on this awakening journey probably my whole life, but also similarly, like the last few years was when it really hit. I'm the kind of person that growing up, I thought spirituality and psychics and mediums and all that kind of stuff was so fascinating, but didn't think that I had any spiritual gifts whatsoever. And then a few years ago, I started working with a mentor who was able to really show me that, well, not only do I have spiritual gifts, but really everybody does. And it's about learning to tap into those. But started to really understand my ability to channel, and that it was really just kind of a natural part of who I am. And so I don't necessarily always see it. It's just my energy that I exude. So I am now, after being in the coaching field for about 6 years, I started with health and wellness, then moved into just life, and have been doing what I call soul healing, soul coaching for the last, I think, 2.5 years. And before that, like I went to school for counseling. So healing has always been important to me. And so I do the soul healing work. It's energy work, and I use my channeling, I use my intuition, and I just kind of help. I feel like I help people to really zero in on those energy blocks that they may or may not recognize or hanging out in their field, so that we can figure out what needs to happen to move forward there. And I also am into human design. So I also do a lot of human design readings, and I'm currently doing a human design class to help people understand their designs in relation to their kids and family members. So that's a lot of fun. In my third dimensional life, I am a mom of 4 and a wife, and I live in central New York. It's about 5 or 6 hours northwest of the city. So I'm not in the city at all. It's actually a really small town. We have the white snow on it where we are right now. We'll get the yellow snow in the spring, but right now it's the white snow. Yeah, let me think if there's anything else that I want to share. I feel like that's about it for me for now, but I'm sure I'll talk more about who I am and how I got here as we continue this journey together.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think I'm the last one. Yeah.
Amy
So
K.
I'm Amy K, also known as Amy Kilstrom. I am here in lovely Bluffton, South Carolina. It's basically the border of South Carolina and Georgia. This is my getaway home. I am a mom of 2, and I'm a wife. And I would say very similar to C-Many, Cara with the C. Her journey, my awakening, really took off about a year ago with, actually started in March, right here, right behind me, with a very dear friend of mine. We just started having true awakening experiences. It was just absolutely out of this world. And then we both joined priestess codes, and everything has just, I didn't think I had any gifts, but now I can look back and realize my whole life, it's been kind of a knock at the door, a knock at my little soul saying, wake up, it's right here. Yes, you are seeing things, don't ignore me. And now I see it fully, and I honor it. And I've been able to, start off with, I don't know if I belong in this arena, to watching me come into my gifts and then watching them expand and multiply. We all channel in this group, but it just seems like our gifts are all intertwined, and it's just been so much fun. My 3D job for the last few years has been holistic nutrition. I coach people on how to feel better in their bodies. And really, since my spiritual awakening, I have learned to bridge the gap. And I realized I was really using my nutrition from an intuitive aspect, as opposed to just following the very strict guidelines of how you would work with somebody. And I just started leaning into what I thought was right, and it was working. Go figure. So this is what I do with my clients now, and it's really bridging the gap between their 3D avatar body and bridging that 5D ascension. In a nutshell, it's really cleaning up it's kind of like getting a lube oil filter for your car. You run better when you have a lube oil. If you just let it go and you never change it, you never work on your car, it starts to just, not run so fabulous. So there really is a beautiful connection between the 3D and the 5D. But it really starts with us as humans here and in order to access. So that's a little bit about
Yes.
me, what I do.
Yay. And, it starts individually, and then I don't know about you all, but I know when it was going, I just craved community. And so we really talked about coming together because we do have this really excellent, divine blend of energies. And I totally forgot because listening to all of you, I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should have mentioned a few things about me and my psychic gifts and energy gifts, I guess, is I'm more drawn to the Akashic records, the Akashic field. And I have to give a huge shout out to our Amy Belair, our dear priestess sister, the origin of the priestess code. It's also why we call Amy Kilstrom Amy K, because we've also been in an Akashic apprenticeship group with Amy for a long time, it feels like, but only maybe for us a few months to almost a year. But anyway, I was drawn to the Akashic records and thought, you know what, this seems fun. I think I may try this out. And I went down that path with Amy B. And so that is my primary tool for channeling information, is accessing the records for myself, for the collective, and for other people by doing individual readings, mentorships, and various and sundry things, including talking to these ladies back and forth nonstop as we just try to integrate the information that can sometimes make you feel a little crazy. And, if we're crazy, we always say, well, if we're crazy, then at least we're crazy together. And so if you found us and you're feeling that way too, then, let us reassure you that you're not crazy, whatever that even means anymore. But it just means that you're disconnecting, you're being deprogrammed, just like the Matrix movie, from what we call the 3-dimensional, the very heavy, dense, energetic construct that we've been used to living in for probably the last 12,000 years. And what we're all a part of, whether we've awakened to it or not, is that we have chosen to be here at this time during this incarnation to be a part of human consciousness evolution, otherwise called the Great Awakening, where even Gaia, in fact, because of Gaia, a lot of it, Gaia is waking up. And so we are all expanding and awakening in direct proportion to all of these galactic earth human energies. Our DNA is changing and whatnot. And really we're becoming a part of the galactic consciousness, expanding beyond just our earth home and going into this galactic. So it's one of the reasons why I think we liked Cosmic Souls, because we are all stardust, and particularly those who feel like we are star seeds, getting back to or remembering our cosmic connections, which is really, what a lot of this is all about. So we have so much we could talk about today, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know where we could start. So last week we're like, oh, let's talk about portals. And we totally could talk about portals. I'd love to talk about dreams as well, because I think with the things just increasing energetically, our dreams are becoming a huge part of how we're evolving and also how we're integrating a lot of these energies. And we could get into the solar flash. I don't know. That could be its own show in and of itself. So I don't know. Where do y'all want to go?
Well, I think first, one just thing that as I was listening to you all was that I think it's what we're talking about right now and why it's so important we have these conversations right now is because things feel like they're speeding up at exponential proportions. And so anybody who's gone through life, it's, things start happening. And then within literally like 6 months or the past year, it's like zooming ahead. And it's so fast that it's so nice to have each other to piece it apart and really unpack what's going on. Because I think if we didn't have these conversations with each other or with other people, you really would feel like you're spinning out of control. It's like, this is the first time humanity and the collective has started to feel these intense energies, and then it's coming on so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the veil, I've heard it over and over again the last couple weeks. The veil is very thin. And so what that means is we're getting a lot of these galactic and all the energies, but also we're feeling the collective energy. So all the chaos and the literal war happening right now, that separation is becoming less and less. And so that's a lot for us to take in. Yes, we agreed to come in this incarnation and do this and be on the front lines, but it is no easy feat.
I often say that just kind of existing sometimes feels so intense. I speak to my audience and I say, oh, there might be really intense things going on that are bringing these things up, but then sometimes nothing could be going on at all. And yet I'm like, whew, I can't even get out of bed today, or I can't even function today, or I can't handle the normal things that I can normally handle. And that intensity is felt in so many different ways because we might feel them physically or we might feel them emotionally. And that can always tie into the astrology too, of what the astrology is bringing out, or there's just so many different ways that we feel it. And so it's really easy too, I think, to judge ourselves because I feel like the shift happens so quickly. I don't know. Well, I do know you ladies probably would agree that I'd say this year it something clicked and it was all of a sudden game on, and they intensified even more. And now it's this constant intensity, whereas I feel like before it was maybe every couple of weeks or every couple of months, and now it's just constant. But now the frequency is going to just continue to rise. So it's a matter of, are you integrating the shifts and are you able to integrate those higher frequencies into your body? And that can sometimes feel a lot of different ways. I think sometimes we get physically sick in order to integrate those, or, we go through these emotional outbursts or whatever it is that shows up, and we just shouldn't judge ourselves about it, right? Especially those of us that I think there may be different levels of, I don't want to say levels, but different incarnation purposes. Some people are just here to do the human thing, but some of us came in, I think, with extra stuff, and we were like, yeah, we're going to bring this dense energy in, and it's going to be part of my energetic blueprint, part of my DNA, and I'm going to help to shift this energy on the earth, on the planet. And so we should never judge ourselves by how well or not well we might be handling these energies, because who knows what each one of us signed up for, what each one of us is carrying and purging and helping to shift. So that's always my thing, is don't judge yourself, just let it be. Because when we judge ourselves, we get stuck in resistance anyways and make it harder than it needs to be.
So true. Yeah.
I would say and even talking about the collective, feeling the different energies. I think that's, with for those of you who don't know, I do nutritional downloads for the collective, and they come at timely events. I don't have the astrology background. I don't that's what, I have these ladies here who can pull it all together, but it's really interesting because the latest download was adaptogenic herbs, specifically ashwagandha, to deal with stress. And then as I'm talking to each person, including these lovelies here, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, based on what we're feeling, you need these herbs. So these downloads on behalf of the collective, what is happening to the collective, it's just, how do you mitigate those symptoms as well, and not justify it away as to, oh, well, my family was in town, this is why I'm tired. Or I just had a tough day at work, this is why I'm tired. It's like, oh, just think about it a little bit. Could be the energies that are moving around you that you're really carrying.
Yeah, and going back to the basics a little bit, and a lot of it's what we've been told, then we have to disseminate the information and really feel into what it means for us. But the whole point of awakening is to shift from the 3D to the 5D. And the 5D, what we've been told and what we're feeling into and trying to integrate, is a oneness frequency. It's the frequency that when we transition from this earth plane to a higher, what we call a higher, it doesn't mean it's better. We'll get into the verbiage and all that later, but it doesn't mean, the hierarchy is how our brains try to think about things. But it is the frequency that we all sort of exist at, outside of these 3D dimensional avatar bodies. And so what's unique about this incarnation is being able to, so what we've been told, and that's why the energies are so intense and we're moving ever faster towards this oneness frequency. So we are getting information, not just for ourselves, but for the collective. We are feeling the energy and the emotions, not just for ourselves, but for the collective, on top of our own personal shit. I mean, it's a lot. And so I love what you said, Cara with K, about, not judging ourselves. I mean, this is really difficult, what we've chosen to do. And again, it goes back to, am I really that special? Am I really that important? I mean, we all came in with some type of a self-worth wound, I think. And yeah, you are. You chose to come in at this point in human evolution and to wake up at the same time, so that you can expand your soul and expand the consciousness of souls around.
Oh, are we frozen?
I think Heather froze.
Heather froze. In an important moment too, because
Alien abduction right there.
There it is.
There you are.
We froze for a second there on us.
Oh, I did? Oh, man.
And Amy K said that was when you were briefly taken up by the aliens, and then
I was.
Alien abduction.
I was.
How was your ship ride?
I was vibrating. The vibration was too much for the computer to handle. Sorry about that. I don't even know where I left off.
You're absolutely right, though. I just wanted to say one little thing. I just had a conversation with a client last week, and this comes up a lot, where people will think that there's something wrong with them because they have these issues or these things they're working through, and they feel like they should be further along. And I feel like all they're doing is really tapping into the fact that they are so much more than what they're experiencing in the human life. So they judge themselves for sensing that. But the reality is, the whole reason that they're even going through it, like you were saying, Heather, is because they were so powerful that they wanted to come here and bring that stuff with them and do both, and do, shift the energies and be part of the awakening, right? So, but yeah, it's so interesting how people come in and they think there's something wrong with them, but really, they're actually, we should be grateful for their presence and grateful for the gift that they are on this planet, but they don't see themselves that way.
Yeah. I think, everyone here specifically at this timeline that we're all on together is here for a very specific reason. And it's, if you look at it that way, like every single person has such a unique and beautiful soul and has their gifts that for why they're here now and why we've all chosen to be in this lifetime right now. And there was that video that we all watched earlier that was so awesome. It was Pam Gregory, and I think her name was Heather Ensworth. But one of the quotes from that video, let me get Heather back in, is that she said the diversity of all that is. So it's like this combination of each of us are so diverse and so unique in our own ways. But when we come together, of all that is like source energy, like it's this, I think that's part of this expansion awakening process, is knowing that among our just human egos of being each individuals, we're coming to this oneness, and each individual has a part to play in that.
Yeah, a piece of the puzzle coming together. There was another video we all listened to earlier this week, and she had said something, I can't remember, maybe Heather will remember who that was if you want to reference it, but she had said something about that really clicked for me, of that, you know, we consider ourselves like light workers or star seeds or whatever term you want to use, but that we've had lifetimes of bringing our light to the planet. And that was kind of a new concept for me to think about. Like, I've thought of past lives and other lives, but to have lifetimes as this being bringing the light to the planet. So what you're saying, Cara, like everything that we've all collectively gathered through those lifetimes of coming back, right? It's not just this life. We're bringing all of that to the table for this massive awakening.
Yeah. It's like another concept for me is part of an awakening journey is coming back to yourself. And it's like really rediscovering your soul, like your soul mission, your soul purpose, coming back to yourself. So it's like discovering something that was always there, but we're just being able to tune in now to what that always there was.
Yeah. My lighting is doing funny things.
Well, I was going to say our internet here at home completely went out.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what we're doing to the system.
Our computers need to move to the 5D.
Mhm.
So I had to switch to my phone and get off our home internet and just do the roaming. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I guess it's all good. You know, we're just
Well, it's
putting
like
a
that
lot
video we watched. Everything is experiencing the shift, right? The animals, the plants, maybe our electronics. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Cara, with the sea money, do you want to talk about some of the, because I don't know if you've already talked about it, because like I said, I've been in and out. I've been on the alien ship and back again.
You sure have.
About the astrology happening right now, that's pretty significant.
Well, yeah, for sure. I'll just briefly, and I won't go into too much detail because sometimes when you go, for people who are not into astrology, if you go into too much detail, it's like they start to check out. Like Uranus squaring Saturn, that's a big one. But like, you know, we don't have to talk about all the aspects. I will say that this past week, we had the new moon in Pisces. And I really just found this last new moon to be at such a timely moment, of course, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's kind of like where we can take this past 12 months we've been through and really examine it and then get away, like toss away the things that aren't working, which you'll see. I think this just in a universal stance of the world of what's happening. Like so many people are coming to conclusions of systems that no longer work, that everything is drastically changing. And so Pisces is like a death and a rebirth. And so that new moon, along with so many other like tons of planets, are all lining up in ways that they haven't in a very long time. So a lot of conjunctions. If you hear the word conjunction, it means that the planets are just side by side, sometimes at the very exact degree in a certain sign. So we have a lot of planets that were in Capricorn, and they're just actually moving into it. Some of them are moving into Aquarius. You had a lot of planets in the sign of Aquarius. And then you had a lot of planets in the sign of Pisces. And all of those are linked in kind of this evolutionary pattern to become where Pisces becomes the end and then again the rebirth. And that's just kind of like a general sense of what's going on. I could definitely get into more specifics, but there's also that, you know, that video we watched this morning about Uranus being the planet of revolutionary change and that being a huge factor. If you look at it, it started in 2019, which we all know what happened in 2019. Our world, every place on the world completely changed due to the pandemic. And then Uranus will be in the sign of Taurus until 2026. And if you look at it in the grand scheme of planets and where they've been over thousands of years, this is a big one. And I think if astrologically you could say this part of this like expansion awakening experience could very well be related to that Uranus and Taurus. Like the earth is changing. There's no, you know, that's what it's saying. It's like, it's the disruptor. Like we're becoming something completely different, the earth and humanity.
And Uranus is the planet of surprise and
yes,
and expediency.
Like
so it can do really quick dramatic burst of something. And that's where we, we've been getting into talking about the solar flash, the laser, whatever it is. We've unpacked the different scenarios of this for months now. And it does seem to coincide with our general feeling of something coming. That can be a general ascension symptom, because there is always something coming. You're continuing to expand and your life is ever changing. But this event, if you will, that is the precursor to basically a life-changing happening where we are able to really fast forward to that 5D frequency, because otherwise it seems like it might take a really long time to get everybody on board with all of this energy shifting.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So portals, there was also a portal, the 3-3 portal.
3-3.
And I didn't know what portals were until, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 months ago. Like, oh, and same thing with the moon. Like, oh yeah, the moon like does things and it affects us. But at first from the periphery, it's sort of like, that's interesting. And then like everything else, you have to integrate it. Same thing with astrology. We've been told and we've mocked, we've been told it's fake or whatever, and it's been mocked, and we've maybe even mocked it ourselves. And, you read the paper to find your signs, prediction for that day and all of those things. Cosmopolitan has their astrology section, all of that. And then all of a sudden it becomes more real, and you start to take it a little bit more seriously. So I guess it moves at the speed that you're ready to take it in and integrate it as something more than what you've been told. That's really what the awakening process is all about, is not putting your truth on what other people have told you is true, and really going inward and tapping into the truth frequency for you, and then expanding that outward for other people to I guess get triggered or to aid in their awakening as well, without even really saying or doing anything. You can just be walking around in a room and doing work, and you're not, you don't even know it.
Right.
And neither do they really.
Right.
It's like unconscious.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What I thought of when you were saying that, Heather, with the astrology, Cara, you'll understand me when I say this. We're taught like, oh, when we read the astrology, like I used to get the books all the time, and then I hated it because I never resonated with it. But we're taught that your astrology is your sun sign, and yet you have the sun, the moon, and the ascending, and many, many others. But those three especially, and Cara, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like those three really give you more of a holistic picture of who you are. But I was always like, well, Taurus is jealous and materialistic and stubborn, and I can be some of those things in certain instances, but generally speaking, my friends were always like, that's not you at all, so it's, but then I have a Scorpio moon and a Leo, like I have these different aspects, and we all do, but we're taught that it's the sun sign. So then how many people would look at their horoscopes and read that and be like, well, I don't resonate with that, so astrology's bunk, but we're not
it's
given
a very flat 3D, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Explanation.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go deeper with it, it becomes more expansive, like everything when you go on this journey. Yeah. Same thing with the moon, with all of it.
Yeah, well, if you've noticed, going back to us, I call it like the triangle, the trifecta of who we are. So that sun, moon, rising sign gives you a much bigger picture of who you are. So, and we can talk all about like sun, moon, rising signs and all that. But one thing, just on the astrology tip, is that we are still in the sun being like the lighting of the world. The sun is in Pisces right now. And part of the Pisces, this is where I can't wait to like tap into Amy K, because this is her specialty.
Uh-huh.
Part of Pisces season in this like transformation, rebirth, death and rebirth is it's really about imagination and dreaming. And this is where we get into our dream warrior, Amy K, where like I think so many people are really realizing that dreams themselves can be such a part of the journey.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and Amy K would know the best, like you are our dream warrior. And
I didn't know any of that until I got into this group, when I started saying, God, you guys, I just have the craziest dreams. And I have since I was little. You know, I learned to fly in my dreams. I go higher and higher. Now I asked for travel during meditation, but my dreams are just off the chart, and I'm always working. And I'm finding that, especially in the last 2 weeks, has it been, ladies? Like, it's been so much work in these dreams that I find my daytime stuff is my rest time. Like, I'm sleeping at night, but my dreams, I'm working.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go into that's a whole other topic.
Well, just
touch on it.
yeah, just because I brought it up, I want to bring it in for closure, like portals.
Yeah.
So KK, you had such a wonderful, to me, mind-blowing download about portals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ultimately we are a portal. We are the portal. But you know, these dates, of course, we had the big one, the 2/22/22, where I think it was a huge, you know, anyway, I explained my download for all that big dark nothing fear cloud that I think was coming in, and it wasn't this love and light feeling that I was getting from 2/22 that didn't quite match some of the things I was reading online. So I hesitated to even share it, but then I was like, okay. And then we had a lot of chaos and whatnot happen afterwards. But Cara, if you could share, if you want to, about your explanation for portals.
So I'm having to like remember, this feels like it was like years ago. It was like, what, last week?
I know.
Like, what did I say? But
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about, because I have another friend that I have similar conversations like this with. Her name's Kim, and she had she was in a group with me, and we were doing a meditation, and she said she kind of visualized like me as the portal. And I remembered that coming up in the priestess codes, that we are living portals. And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm a portal, like, what does this mean? I'm a portal of what, you know, this beautiful cosmic energy, but yet my life, can we swear on our podcast?
Oh, I think I have
My life
already.
is like
Yes, ma'am.
you know, and it's like, how am I this portal of this beautiful cosmic energy, but yet like I feel like my life is always, you know, going like chaos. And the visual that I got was like, well, if you're busy being the portal, and the function of being the portal is that we're constantly like pulling in negative energy and transmuting it into positive energy or something along those lines. Like, I don't fully understand what it is that we're doing, but anytime we go through these portal periods, I feel like they're, you know, everybody always talks about how it's going to be so beautiful and so magical and expect miracles, and that's lovely. But my reality has usually been more of a purging of some sort, and so it's like heaviness, and you know, usually my core wounds coming up, or you know, limiting beliefs coming up, and just feeling, you know, crummy or doubting myself, not believing myself, because those are related to my core wounds. So to really think about what does it actually mean to be a portal or to go through a portal, it's really this culminating period of a lot of shit coming up, you know, and hopefully on the other side of that, you do feel better, but in the process of it, it might not feel great. And then there might be times where it does. And I feel like you could get one or the other, and it doesn't matter. Like at one point we go through a portal period, and you just happen to be on the high end of your roller coaster of where you are in all of your shifts and all of your purging, and then recalibrating, and then purging again and recalibrating, right? And then other times we're at the lower end and it feels heavy and we're clearing a lot. And both places are beautiful and both places we're doing exactly what we came here to do. But I know for myself, a couple of years ago when I first learned about Lionsgate portal and these things, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? I don't feel any different, or I feel worse, or, you know, again, that judgment piece. That's always, you know, I've been very good at judging myself my whole life. So a lot of my journey was about releasing judgment. But it's really, you know, and letting it be okay that I can look around me and, you know, maybe my house is a mess and, you know, my kids are not happy or whatever's going on in my life, and really recognizing that, you know, I think the visual I had was like, you know, standing there being this portal, and it just makes sense that everything around you might be a mess because you're just busy holding the doorway open or whatever it is that we're symbolically doing, you know.
Yes, like we talked about, you know, you had this great meditation session with your
Oh
group,
yeah.
and then later on
right.
you had this huge blow up, you know,
Yep.
with your kids or your husband or whatever, and it's like, wait, that doesn't that
Yep.
doesn't that doesn't jive, and then it starts the self-doubt train, like, well, here I was, this, you know, radiant being over here, and then now I'm the raging mom,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
over
That's
here.
that
Like,
bridging,
what the
right?
hell
The bridging.
happened?
Yeah. Yep.
But you can be both,
Yeah.
especially with portals. Yeah. Anyway, that was just such a freeing aha moment for me when you shared that. And that's what I love about the opportunity of this podcast for us and for everyone listening, is because we all carry pieces of the whole. And we've all talked about how we've gotten so many downloads and so many aha moments and just so many pieces of the puzzle that have allowed for more integration or more downloads or more light to come in, because it was like the little lock, or the, I'm sorry, little key in the lock, that something clicked, and you just were ready for it. You were ready to be able to expand, to take in that information and to anchor it in some sort of new way.
Well, Heather, I feel like you always use this saying that it's all in proportion. Like you always say, like, our expansion is all in proportion to what we're ready for, you know, or what's around us. Like it's coming in at the divine timing. It's coming in because we were ready at that point, you know. And if you're not ready, then your human will do whatever it takes to let you know you're not ready for this information, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, you know, it's so human and so normal to compare and contrast, or to even judge, and, you know, why I'm not getting that, or I can't do that, or those kinds of things. But, you know, because you have to, you're on a different journey, but you can, it's like the comparison I use too much, but about winning the lottery too soon. You have to be able to, and Amy Belair calls it feathering the nest. You have, well, we've also called doing the work. It won't be able to be a vibrational match. You can't anchor it in, unless you've done the purging, or you've done the things that can clear out more light coming in. And in a way, it's an exciting thing. Doesn't feel that way when you're going through the hard shit or the challenges, because it means you're ready for the next expansion that wants to come in. It knows you're ready. You got to clear out some of this stuff, see it, feel it, heal it, whatever you got to do with it. Quit running from it, quit stuffing it, hiding it. You know, that's what we've done in these past lives. I feel like a lot of this keeps coming back up for us, because not only are we doing this individually, but we're doing it for our families and for our ancestors. And then collectively, again, like, go us, go you, anyone listening to this, you're a part of the conversation. It just means that you're ready for more expansion to come in, even though it doesn't feel that way. But you have to be a vibrational match. So that's what all that churning and gook is doing. It's making you ready to be a vibrational match to that next level.
Well, if you think about the portals, I mean, okay, somebody could see like stuff on social media or in the news, like we're you know, this portal's coming up, the 3-3 portal. well, if you're not a vibrational match to even understand what a portal is, or that you want to go through it, or that it has some significance, that portal isn't going to open up to you. I think the meaning of a portal is that you've actually like taken the step to be like, oh, I understand. What is this portal? You enter the portal, whatever it is, and you come out differently, whether that's a feeling of like feeling more expanded. Maybe it was a portal that you had to go through of like some grief and pain and facing the pain, and you come out. But I think the idea of the portal is you enter in one way and you come out differently, whatever that difference is at the other end. And whether you feel it or not, maybe you don't feel anything, but you were like, well, I believe in portals, so I went through something.
Yeah. And how long did it take for us to believe in portals? That's the thing. I mean,
Right.
How long did it take for us to believe that astrology is the shit? It's for real.
It is for real.
The moon magic, the moon energy is for real. These solar events, these solar light codes, it's for real. But it's not like we just, for me, it was, wading into the water, right? Like testing it out and seeing and filtering and sorting. When we want people to still use their brains and their logic and their intuition and all of that, and not just be all in. I believe it all, but you got to use your own discernment. But that is what we're talking about, the rapid pace, where if these things were in my field a few years ago, I think it would have taken me a lot longer to sign on for some of this stuff and being like, what, this is making a lot of sense. This resonates. So it's all divine timing. It's all for what you're ready to expand into. But I think those of us who have really turned on that awakening button that our souls set, and I guess we pressed it, it's happening at such an exponential rate where I'm a completely different person from a month ago, 6 months ago, certainly a year ago. I mean, and then
I think all of us are.
We laugh like, what did I do with my time before? Like, what did I do without all you ladies? I know we've talked about that a lot. Like, what did we do with ourselves?
I just talking and thinking of these things? Were these multiple conversations I was having with myself in my head? But again, I mean, we all found each other for a purpose at the time that we were ready to find each other.
Exactly.
And it's fun because we could feel it too, because each one of us had voiced it, and then we finally now have come together, and this is it. And it just feels so juicy, so lovely. It's a safe space for us to be, because being a light worker is not easy. Signing on for this is not easy. And you think it's going to be all, love and light, all this peace and joy, and no, there's dirt, there's shit, there's uckiness, it's like when a portal comes up, tons of shit, tons of poop. That has been the theme over the last week.
We joked about naming this podcast, getting your shit together. As we journey along this podcast, Amy K is going to be our poop guru, our poop shaman. I never knew so much about poop until Amy K came along.
I never thought I would be talking about lots of shit.
A lot to learn. We'll unpack that in the next episode.
Yes.
But yeah, we weren't meant to do this alone. Oh. And I know other people have said it, but like, there was always God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or God. Anyway, you know what I mean? The Trinity. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely something that shifted this year for me, as far as when I was looking ahead and trying to do a year ahead energetic reading. I knew that I'd be collaborating in a deeper way, and that would really become my way of work. And I felt that for the collective as well, because we're stronger together, and it's hard work. It's a lot of fun too. It's exciting, but part of the fun and the excitement is because we get to do this together. We get to have these conversations. And again, why we wanted to do this podcast is we wanted to have these conversations with everyone else as well. And maybe have some guests on. I don't know what they'll do with
Absolutely.
the four of us.
God bless them. But
Like, hey, what am I signing on with?
I like what you're saying, Heather, because it goes back to what we were saying before. Like, we each hold the different puzzle pieces. And I feel like as far as the awakening goes and what you're saying with the key, there's something about like different energies when we come together and unlocking things for each other. So we just have this kind of synergy where we unlock things for each other so easily. Like, one can say one little thing. And I know that for myself, the way it feels to me is like I get downloads, but they just sit as like energy in my field, and I don't really know what they mean exactly. But then one of you will say something simple, and I'm like, oh, and it just like I have so much clarity. So we do that really well for each other. But then as far as like, having other people on, I think that like that mixing of the right energies, the people that are on this path that are here for this work, it's going to be like really magnetic and opening up doorways for everybody that listens and that just energetically engages in any way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's been an hour. And like all of our conversations are, I don't know where the time goes. So I don't know if we want to, end things here and get the train going for next time. I would like to maybe next time unpack the solar flash a little bit more and just all of that, or some of these feeling like something's coming energy, and a lot of the really powerful ascension symptoms, the solar activity. Amy K, I'm sure will have some great downloads for us to be able to handle and manage better some of these ascension things. But yeah, I don't know if we want to wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think that's a great introduction to us all, and then also it's just like, if you're listening to this, if you made it through this whole conversation, then congratulations, first of all. Yes, but you're here. You want to talk about this stuff. Like, if this isn't for you, you probably would have turned it off like halfway through, like, oh, okay, that's let's go. So it's just exciting to know that like you're here with us and you're not alone, and find people like us, find us.
Yeah.
And to any listeners, like, you can chime in, you can send us messages. What do you want to hear? What do you want us to talk about? Like, we talk about so much stuff, so help us dial it in what you want to hear.
Yep, I was just about to say that. And we will be talking about aliens at some point.
Oh,
so
100%.
I'll just whet your appetite for that.
Because one showed up in my dream last night.
Oh,
yes.
Cool.
So we have to talk about aliens. I know.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll put our contact information in the show notes. We got really fancy and created our own email. That's the extent.
I think I'm very proud of that. Amy got us an email.
That was a big accomplishment.
We're getting our shit together. And I'm yes. We all have our tasks. I'm still needing to work on my task. But yeah, we'll put all of our contact information, and like Cara Simani said, thank you for joining us this far. And we're looking forward to this adventure with each other and with you, our listeners and watchers, because I guess YouTube.
Yeah. All right, sending so much love and light to everyone. Happy Sunday.
Or whatever day you watch it.
Sunday, March 6th.
Doesn't matter the time anymore. What is time?
Yeah, what is time? All right. Well, loving you all.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye-bye.